All right, welcome back to John STV. At this time, we switch focus to education and just how we can make it work for Nigeria and what can we inculcate into our education curriculum to make it more productive, more problem solving, and indeed that is being recommended as STEM, what is spelled out as science, technology, engineering and mathematics, STEM. Welcome with us an educational consultant to break all of this down this morning, particularly on how it will be more productive for Nigeria. ADETOLA, SALAU, good to have you join us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Welcome to today's STV. Now, science is not new to us. Technology isn't new to us. Engineering isn't new to us. And mathematics definitely isn't new to us. So, I mean, why is it a big deal? Why have we formed an acronym out of these major areas? And why is it a big deal now?
STEM. I know when we hear it, we're like, okay, here we go, another new, just like we were discussing earlier, another new buzzword, another new thing that everyone is running after. But actually, it's not new. But it's another way for us to gear our focus on what really drives innovation. And when we do that, I like for us to revisit the story of David and Goliath. David was a 5'3" to 5'5" young guy. And then you had Goliath, who was 8 feet to 9 feet tall, armorly clad, knee pads, shield and everything. And how was David going to defeat somebody so big, covered and everything? But yet, he was able to use strategic thinking to see that one part of him was uncovered. And then say, you know what, if I use a stone and hit that part, because a lot of our nerve centers are centered around here in our head. If I hit him, I'm going to be able to bring him down. That's what China did. China, they had an export-oriented model for their economy, and it wasn't really working with them, particularly when the economic crisis happened in the 1970s. They saw that things were really crashing for them. Not just China, a lot of the other Asian tigers. They saw a lot of things crashing for them, and they say, you know what do we need to do to change? And they saw that by them investing in education, particularly in these areas we just mentioned, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, they saw that they'll be able to drive innovation, and which will kickstart their manufacturing sector, and that's exactly what has happened to them. They are now world leaders. We mentioned countries like Singapore. They have an economy that's totally based on manufacturing and also high productive, high skilled workers doing things. In fact, all these your computers are mostly assembled and put together and also programmed over there. They are not done in the United States anymore or in Europe. They're done mostly in Asia, like we all know. How are they able to do that? By them making these investments in those areas that I mentioned. In science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's how they were able to drive innovation. So STEM actually drives critical thinking skills, problem solving.
We already have them. What's different?
What is different is the way we go about it here in Nigeria. That's what's different. Like I said, they spent a lot of money in working on them. They have more hands-on approach in how they were able to teach it. And they spend a lot of time upgrading and working on their teaching strategies, training their teachers over there. That's what's made the difference in those places. That's what we need to do here too.
All right, Adetola, let's get you to break down. And of course, it's our culture to always get very practical.
We have to be practical,
and look at how we begin to address them. So, like Vicky rightly pointed out, these subjects are not new to the Nigerian education system. Now, what you call for, what the world is doing that you refer to is a blend. And then looking at the piece where it starts from even at young age, and then how to make it very interactive and very, very, very exciting for young children to learn STEM right from their formative years, if possible. Now, let's come to policy. Where we are in Nigeria, how do we begin to try to infuse this and then pattern it after China and the Asian tigers you talked about to profit from STEM?
Okay. I have with me
a box of toys.
They're not toys. These are chemistry kits. And I also have my son's toy cars here too. And how do you begin to do that? Is you make what you're teaching relevant. You make it engaging. You see these toy cars, I can use them to teach mathematics. I can also use that slope. I can use them to teach functions. I can also use them in physics to teach acceleration, velocity, not projectiles, when I think potential energy. You have to be a scientist to understand the joke. To teach potential energy, kinetic energy, speed calculations. You can use this to do so much. So just teaching theory and going over it over and over and over with our books, picking up a big dry book. Okay, guys, let's go to page so, and we review this. No, that's not enough. We have to go beyond that. We have to actually make them see. And I call this, it's actually called the 5E model, instructional model, which is you engage, you explore, you explain, you elaborate, and then you evaluate. So what I'm doing here right now is I'm elaborating, I'm explaining, I'm going to engage my students by them actually, because you know our kids, they love playing. Oh look, I can do this. And then we're going to do calculations when they run them on the grounds. We're going to calculate the distance. We're going to time them with our stopwatches. We're going to run those simulations and write down our values. Then we'll be able to say, look at what our teacher was trying to explain to us, and it will make more sense to us.
So essentially exploratory learning.
Exploratory learning.
Okay.
Same thing here. You know, I go to classes, I work with some schools, because that's what I do. And I see them teach chemistry concepts, and all they do is just write formulas on the board explaining. It doesn't really make it come to life, make you understand and say, wow, I understand how this connects to what we're doing. Right here, I have two solutions. This is potassium hexoferrocyanate.
The green one?
The green one, yes. This is actually called Prussian blue, this color. And this is ammonium iron 2 sulfate, the yellow one. And actually what I did was I had this with tartaric acid, that's the potassium ferrocyanate. I know, all these long, nice names. And then with the tartaric acid here first, before I mix this, and then I got this beautiful Prussian blue. I can just write that on the board and say, guys, this, because actually is what we call a reagent in chemistry, an indicator. This actually helps this test for the ion in this. That's why it turned blue. It's an indicator that potassium cyanate, ferrocyanate, it tests for the presence of this ion that was here, the ammonium, the ion that was in the ammonium solution here. See, I'm beginning to that was here. And me just writing down on the board, yes guys, we have this indicator and this now turn blue. They write it down, they memorize. But when I actually carry this out, I pour it in and you see it turn this blue, and you look at it and you feel it, you will always remember. Yes, when you're writing and you're taking that exam, or later on when you're thinking of, wow, what do we do with this? How do we do this? It will make sense to you.
Now, knowing that this system has moved some countries from developing to developed, it seems like a fantastic idea. But we are not even at a normal point in our education sector. We are at a place where we're really down below the ladder. So are we ready for this?
Yes, we are.
How long will it take? Because we're talking about equipping classrooms. We're talking about training teachers. Gigi talked about it being policy driven as well. A lot of work goes into it before this becomes implementable. How much time are you looking at? What kind of support are you looking at?
They say a journey of 1,000 steps lasts 2 years. That's the Chinese philosopher says a journey of 1,000 steps starts with 1 step. If we look at the big picture, we're going to get overwhelmed and we'll say, oh my God, can we do this?
No, but we'll build steps.
I know, we're going to build steps. So I like to encourage schools and encourage teachers to actually look for models, little things that they can use like this to teach their students.
Out of their pockets, or does the school fund it?
Schools should support them because it's actually going to be beneficial.
What about public schools?
Public schools, that comes back to what we're talking about with policies. And yes, we do need support, guys. Please, our policymakers, support our teachers, support our public schools, because we do need support. But a teacher who really wants to make this connection for the students, yes, it's going to be out of pocket. Yes, it's not going to be easy. But there are ways without really breaking the bank to be able to do things like this.
We get the idea.
See this. Okay. This is a toy car. You might not be able to buy a toy car, but you could get a what do you call a bottle cap. There you go. You could use that with your students. You can adapt. There are different things you can use to adapt. I know where you're going.
I know. I'm talking about also a time frame to this, knowing that there are things you have to build on. Is it a 5-year project? Because even as we build 5 years, the rest of the world, they're still developing.
Okay.
Is there a game plan to this?
There should be, and that's the plan that I have, working and talking to our policymakers, talking to people at schools, going to, just yesterday I went to the Ministry of Education so that we can start having discussions about this with our policymakers and people who actually care about the futures of our children. And yes, there should be a game plan, and that's the discussions that we're having right now, and I hope to have more discussions. we should have a 2-year, 5-year, and a 10-year plan, because that's actually what China did. China had a 10 to 20-year plan. And believe me, now look at the rapid advances they've made because of that plan. They invested. Yes, I know we have not done that. But like I said, let's start having more conversations about this. Let's see how we can already use what we have. We don't always have to buy new things and throw in things here and there. In fact, that's why I said I love that instructional model. It's called the constructivist approach to learning. It means you go from the old ideas you have and you build them with new ones. So what do we already have? We have this. We can use this to teach. I said, okay, if you don't really have money to buy the toy cars, you can use bottle caps. You can use what you already have and build from that. So they started saying, you know what, I want our country to be leaders. I want us to be innovators. They pushed in all that money. They, of course, they are very methodical and very organized down there. And they really followed through. And now look at what has happened to them. They're second only to America in academic publications. They have a lot of patents now. Like I said, they are manufacturing. Forget that. We all know everything is made from there. So we can start doing this in stages. Right.
Like ADETOLA, I like your spirit. I mean, yes, it's the dogged Nigerian spirit. But let's go from yes, you have talked about even what we agree is a novel idea. I mean, nobody ever forgets an illustration, for instance, and nobody ever forgets anything practical.
Yes.
Now let's look at how we can implement, because that's what the focus should be on, where the big challenge is. Now we look at the states. You're right, federal, but then generally, it has to be policy driven. That's the only reason. There are schools you would go with this and they say, no, we're waiting for the approval of the state ministry of hello, that's the truth. Now let's address it with the way that we do things here. How do you see that this would catch on the schools that we're looking to target, perhaps in the majority, the public schools?
Okay, I see this catching on if they realize that STEM actually drives innovation and will be beneficial for all of us, for our economic prosperity. It really is. Look at these countries I've mentioned. Look at how well they're doing. Well, okay, I'm talking about the big ones. What about the small one? Brazil. I'm not saying Brazil is small, but Brazil, they were like our counterparts. They've surpassed us now. I was watching one of those videos. One of these comedians, popular comedians, he went to Brazil. And I actually did a double take when I was looking at the video. It was a movie of him in Brazil. I said, what? That's Brazil? It almost looks like New York. See how far they've gotten, because they also invested a lot in their education and pushed STEM, pushed innovative thinking. See how far they've gotten. So this is our own benefit if we do this. It's going to really help. To know,
in the conversations that you have had, what is the response like with policymakers? My interest.
I have people who get very excited about it because everybody wants only the best for our children. See, that's what it really comes down to, the futures for our children. And that future includes us, because we are also going to be watching our children as they grow, their university, they start working, they start creating this. We want Mark Zuckerbergs in Nigeria. Think about that. We want Bill Gates. We want
He came without STEM.
No. What I mean is I want us to create
I'm playing
our
devil's
own.
advocate.
Okay. Yeah, I want us to create our own. I want us to have our own. I want us to have children who start thinking like that. And by doing things like this, engaging them, firing up their imaginations, that's how we're going to be able to have those kind of people. And Mark, by the way, actually was so in the sciences before he dropped out from Harvard. Same with Bill Gates, same with Steve Jobs. So sister, it really still comes back to that.
Yes. Okay. Now we've seen a lot of in the recent years. What we've seen, people would say, is the arts gaining prominence, because the money there is. It seems easier. The popularity that comes with it also talks about our value system in Nigeria. You write an essay, you win the essay, you get 150,000 naira. You win the same competition, you get a few millions. These are societal problems that kind of like drives the young person in the arts direction.
But look at long term. Look at China. These are people who think of long term investment, what's going to happen, what's going to benefit everybody long term. Look at what happened to them. Not everybody's benefiting. Look at the billionaires they have. We all talk about Alibaba.
But this speaks of our value system. How are you going to handle that? Are you? It's about also encouraging children to do a lot more in the sciences. Now, beyond the hard work. Beyond the hard work.
You're reminding me, yes. One of the key things I like for us to talk about and deal with whenever we talk about STEM. You're right. It's not just the talk and the motivation. See, I'm beyond motivation and talk. I believe in the delivery and execution, the real hands-on. When we're going to go and talk to them, when we're going to go work with them, We're going to talk to them about, yes, these people they're going to get a few million, they're going to get that. But look at these people long term. I'm mentioning people to you. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, those are the famous ones. Even Tesla Musk, he's another famous billionaire that we all know. He's also he's an engineer. Yes, he's also an engineer, and he's making waves. Look at all the different things he's doing with science, with the cars, with electricity. He's even talking about space travel. I mean, these are people who are able to do this. We want to have those kind of people too here who are doing those kind of things.
All right, ADETOLA, what are we looking at? Let's walk us through what the objective is. Yes, from as little as 3, any age, any conscious age, particularly the formative years, because from what you have, the cars and the toy cars, it captures just even what the U report for this week from UNICEF asked about. It was about how do parents begin to engage their children between the ages of 3 to 6. You know, what do they do with them? Do not forget we're in a holiday period. Now, walk us through what the objective is from this year to up to, I know, where the invention stage will be. Oh, no. High school, university, what is the plan? Break this down. What is really?
Sorry, they can invent to 3 years.
I know, I'm just saying the peak of it. But then tell us, what's the objective? From what's your target from this age to up to what point?
The objective is to make them ask questions. Don't stop them. When they are curious, don't stop them. My son, he constantly asks questions. He's constantly challenging and wondering why this is that. Encourage them. Never tell them, oh, be quiet. What are you talking about? No. And she's right. Part of the problem we're having here is that our culture doesn't really encourage that. But we can start doing that. And that's what we want to do with this, is to start encouraging that. Allow them to ask questions. Allow them to investigate. They might not have things like this. But guess what? They have rubber bands that they can use to test electricity on their own. They can see things around them. They can observe. And you can say, what did you see about that? What different things did you see today? How many yellow cars? Just questions that make them start thinking and make them start talking. That's it. Curiosity is what breeds innovation. Innovation is what? A new way of doing things. That's all it is.
Okay, ADETOLA, let's hope to see that this would materialize. I mean,
it will materialize. We need this in Nigeria.
Of course, Nigeria science is spurring development. I mean, elsewhere in the world, and so Nigeria cannot be in isolation. Let's stay with again what the results of this would be for us in terms of development. I mean, we're at a time where even the China that you talked about, a hugely populated country, but then look at just how good they have put the population, good use they have put it to, almost like no country can ignore China. What's the long, in terms of development, what are we looking to achieve? Ripple effects from STEM.
The ripple effect from STEM is that we'll start solving problems. Instead of always going to export, no, actually it's import, always importing from other nations, we will start actually making things here. I just read, I believe it was yesterday or day before, that in Ondo State, they just made one manufacturing industry just started making toothpicks. I said, okay, finally. I mean, it's not big, but finally, instead of us always, something so mundane like that, always importing it, we can actually make it here. We have wood, we have plastic. What else are we looking for? We can start solving things that are on ground here instead of always looking for solutions outside. And you know what? When we start solving them here, we're employing people. Our money is staying within us, which is what China did. They wanted their money to be domestically driven.
We can export toothpicks to Ghana. They're not making it toothpicks. All right, so let's talk about funding. Let's compare to the American model. Now, they say U.S. corporations are now investing $350 million annually in STEM education, and Obama was going $3 billion. Now, this is like more than 100 times the scale of what Obama was putting down. Now, knowing that we're going to start a little bit, you have to sell the idea. When the idea is sold, we're talking about funding. What is the first process to push out this? As in, what are you going to be introducing to the schools? You talked about the 3-year-old. Are you going to go below 3? And let's compare it to the Montessori style of teaching. Is it similar to the Montessori?
Montessori style, that's a style. We are not talking about the style, we're talking about education itself. These are subjects. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, these are subjects. We're talking about the subjects themselves, making sure that our students are actually excited about them, happy about them, that they realize that it's fun. So if they want to do it in a different way in the Montessori style, more
That's
power
right.
to them. But the key thing is to bring back home the conversation about these subjects and to make our students understand that it's fun, it's relevant, it is important, it is critical. That's what it is here. And you talk about ages. Like I said, anywhere from 3 years old all the way to our teenagers, and even us adults.
So you're not going to go below 3, are you? Or it's not advisable to go below 3, is it?
You know, young ones, when they're asking questions, you can listen to them and say, okay. And there are simple things they can do. I know there were simple things that I did when my son was younger. Salt solution, sugar solution, really simple things, and pointing out things. You know, when we are watching, because they do have a lot of, how will I put it, instructional videos nowadays, both on YouTube and on TV. Anyway, in the States. In Nigeria, we also need to start talking about producing those here too. That's another subject for another day. And you can start discussing that. Oh, look at this. They showed that experiment. They did this. What does that mean? Why are they doing this? You start talking to them. So it's never too, to me, it's never too young to
she
start.
raised the critical issue,
funding from the government and corporate organizations as well.
Sister, that's why we're here. We need to keep pushing to our people that this is important, it's going to benefit all of us. Because you see, self-interest, that's why I say sell the benefits. When everybody sees it's going to benefit all of us.
How much do you think you need to start this project?
A lot of money. And in Lagos State alone, we're looking at over...
To kickstart STEM in Nigeria.
Oh, Nigeria. Woo! It's going to be billions, too. It's going to be a lot of money to get equipment, to train the teachers, to get our students excited about it. Yes, it's going to be money.
Okay.
But we can start in stages. Let's not get overwhelmed and get scared and say, you know what, we don't want to do this. This is too much for us.
And like you said, let's also always look at the benefits of
Oh
any
my God.
investment. I mean, that
Yes.
drives your commitment to it. Thank you very much for your time with us and sharing with us, of course.
STEM. I never did any of this. STEM.
Yes, you didn't? Oh,
Okay.
no. You should have had me as your chemistry teacher.
We're
I'll have made it
mandated
fun.
to take chemistry even as art students in secondary school in SS1. So
You see, that's
That's
another
as
thing.
far as we went.
That's another thing that I don't think is right. We shouldn't do it like that. Yes, you're an art student, but at least give you a sampler of what is involved. And that's what we call physical science, where at least you get a sampler of physics, chemistry, and you still have the biology. So that way you have an idea of how things
we
work.
didn't
and
learn
what to do.
chemistry. We didn't learn chemistry. Mandated to do chemistry in SS1. It was tough.
Chemistry.
The first time it wasn't bad. The second one,
And chemistry is so interesting.
of course, to you. Look at you with them colored liquids and all of that.
I'm seeing just how you plan to enroll Vicky into your
It
STEM
will work.
class.
It will
And it's
work.
looking really good.
Yeah.
Adetola, SALAU.
No, I'm way past that age. Okay.
You like that?
Adetola SALAU, an
Yeah.
educational consultant
Yes.
on what we need as a country, seriously, to move forward. And of
Yes.
course, where the rest of the world is with innovations, inventions, and advancement with technology.
Advancement with technology.
With technology,
yes.
absolutely. I mean, I have, not to sell anyone's product, but then you know just what this does to anyone's life with
And we-
information.
And we can start with the really little things.
All right, thank you for your time with us.
Thank
Adetola.
you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you
to
so
have you.
much.
All right, before we go, I'd like to say happy birthday to Abiodun Shopiton. He's a regular on the show. He's graced us several times when we have talked about topical issues with his vast knowledge, and we appreciate him. We say happy birthday to you, sir. We are waiting the huge cake you'll be
Happy
sending
birthday,
to us.
sir. Abiodun Shopiton, of course, retired as a deputy director of the Central
CBN.
Bank of Nigeria. Thank you again. Happy birthday to you.
We are
Congratulations,
waiting
sir.
the
We're proud
huge
of you.
cake.
Okay,
We are waiting it.
and that's the show
And
for
it-
today.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
All right, bye.
Okay, thank you.